Algebra 2. Today we're going to be doing lesson 1114, or 1114, oof, da mia, it's late tonight. Lesson 14-3, right triangles and trig ratios. So you know the saying, it's SOHCAHTOA, we learned that in geometry. All of you have learned that in geometry. So let's say I want to just find my ratios, and you're given your right triangle. Sine A. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent opposite over adjacent, just to review. So sine A would be opposite over hypotenuse, so this would be 4/5. Cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, 3/5. Tangent opposite over adjacent, 4/3. And then these are the reciprocals. 5/4, 5/3, 3/4. Okay, so whenever you have these ones here, it's easy to find the other three because it's just the reciprocal functions. So that is how you label the ratios. If you are missing a side, what theorem do you use to find that missing side? The Pythagorean. So you'd have to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Just to review on that Pythagorean theorem. So down here you want to find the value of x. So I look where that degree is. I know that this side is opposite of it. I'm trying to find my hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse, sine. So I'd say the sine of 17, which is my theta, equals 6 over x. Cross multiply to solve. X sine 17 equals 6. Divide by sine 17, x equals 6 over sine 17. Get out your calculator. Make sure that mode is in degree mode. Okay, 6 divided by sine 17, 20.5. X equals 20.5. Done. These ones here, they want you to find the cosine inverse of 1/2. Make sure your calculator, and they have the little calculator button next to it. So make sure your calculator's in degree mode. We already changed that. There's your cosine inverse. So second cosine, 1 over 2, should give me 60 degrees, which you could have easily also found on the unit circle because it was just looking for that degree. So I could have went where cosine was 1/2, wherein I would have gotten 60 degrees. Okay? So, that's the first set of problems you'll have to do. The next set of problems, so on 19, it gives you two numbers. Okay, it gives you two sides. So I'm going to draw out my right triangle. And I'm just going to do a basic A, B, C triangle. Side A is 5. So remember, across from that, 5. Side B is 6, so across from that is 6. Okay. We're trying to find C. So go ahead and do the Pythagorean theorem. Might as well. So then you have 6 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. 36 plus 25 is 61, so this is going to be root 61. Leave it in radical form. Okay, simplified radical form. So let's say I wanted to find B. Opposite over adjacent. Okay, so tangent. Tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. Whenever you're finding the angle, it's the inverse. Okay, so the tan inverse of 6 over 5, again your calculator's in degree mode, is 50.2. Well, how do you find that other angle? Well, you know that's 90. So to find that other angle, 90 plus 50.2, the quantity of that, 180 minus it, gives you C. 90 plus 50.2, 80, 39.8. Big C is 39.8. So now we found all of the missing sides and angles. I should have put that as angle B. And there's the side. Okay, So when you get to this one here, they want you to find the other ratios. So again, I'm going to draw my right triangle. You don't even have to label it. Put your little theta down here. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So let's do the Pythagorean theorem to find this missing side. Side plus side equals hypotenuse squared. So 64 minus 49, root 15. X equals the square root of 15. So now I can find, this is root 15. Simplified radical form, leave it as simplified radical form, no decimals. So now I know what sine is. Cosine, root 15 over 8. Tan, opposite over adjacent, 7 over root 15. Remember, we can't have a radical in the denominator. Multiply by root 15 over root 15. So you end up with 7 root 15 over 15. So now here comes your others. Cosecant, secant, cotangent. Cosecant, easy, 8/7. Secant is 8 over root 15. Whoops, sorry, you didn't get that very much. So 8/7, and then you got 8 over root 15. Can't have that in the denominator. 8 root 15 over 15. I just multiplied by root 15 over root 15. And cotangent originally started out like that, so I'm just going to do the reciprocal of that so I don't have to flip it again. So it'll be root 15 over 7. So there's how you find your other trig ratios. They do have one of these on ACTs. Okay, so they'll give you like the sine value and they'll ask you to find the cosine value. So there it is, just a brief rundown again of some of the problems that you'll have to do on today's lesson. Right triangle, a lot of you guys like trig. Okay, a lot of you guys like trig. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. It's not that bad, it's back to the basics of trig. So there it is, right triangles and trig ratios.